Hey, everybody, what's happening? What's going on, man? How is your day shaping up? How's your year shaping up? That's more important. Hopefully it's kicking off. You're getting off to a strong start here, Q1 2016. I can tell you for me, I think 2016 for me is going to be one of the best years I've had in a long time. I've put a ton of work into setting some stuff up, getting some stuff in our runway and our pipeline, and it's just starting to chug out. And I can tell you, I've really been focusing on some passive income stuff. What can I do that just kicks me out mailbox money? I know a guy, I won't say his name, but because you might kind of know who he is too, but I know a guy, this dude is all about passive income. He's been at it for a long time, and what he calls mailbox money, he makes about $700,000 a month in mailbox money. Oh, it's good for him. It's a little bit sickening. You know what I mean? Really? Come on, look, guy worked hard. Okay. And I'd love to talk about some of the stuff I'm doing because some of you guys might want to play in some of it too, but today is not the day. I want to tell you about a couple things. One, I am tomorrow hopping on a plane. I'm going to New Orleans, going to family reunion. I've gotten a lot of emails from you guys saying, hey, let's hook up. I've been so busy, guys. Seriously, I've been so busy that I was initially getting these emails that I was getting, putting them on a list, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to email everybody because we're going to crash. We're going to all get together. We're going to crash a lounge at the Hilton. And I think there's like 3 of them there. So we're just going to have to figure out which one makes the most sense. Which one has the cheapest drinks, if there is such a thing. I was just at, as you guys know, I think I was just in Squaw Valley and staying at the Squaw Creek Resort. Ski in, ski out, beautiful, beautiful place. But they gotcha. They got you there, man. A bottle of wine, the cheapest bottle of wine in their little stupid store, $36. You go to the bar and, you order Jack and Coke. They're like, oh, I ordered 2 drinks. No, I ordered 1 drink. I was hanging out with a guy and I go, what are you drinking? He's like, a dirty martini. So I said, I'll have one. Now, I didn't know, I'm not a martini guy. I hate olives, and I did not know that they pour olive juice in a dirty martini. So I was stuck with this drink that was terrible. I drank it. You know why? I gave the guy a 20 and he gives me like $4 back. Really? I hate that. Anyhow, all right, I'm cheap, I guess. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes paying $14, $16 for a drink. Okay. All right, family reunion. The second thing, guys, I'm really, really excited about is our new product. We're building a site, Viralcast. If you guys have ever wanted a show, but you didn't know what equipment to buy or how to work the editing software, don't worry about it, man. It's a completely done for you podcasting service. So if you're interested in that, hit me up and let me tell you a couple things. 1, you can use this to mine your database. Perfect. 2, you can use it to build your list. Awesome. You guys have problems with that typically. 3, you've come up by having a show. I've got all sorts of opportunities that I would never, ever have. Last year I was interviewed by Yahoo. A couple months before that, I was on a roll for this weird period. So Yahoo interviewed me, and then I get an email from HGTV, and they're like, "Hey, Toby, we kind of see what you're doing in the real estate space, and we're working on a new show called Realty Ref. Would love to talk to you about being the host." So I got to try out for a TV show. It didn't happen. The show didn't happen, but I could have got on TV. So I'd encourage you guys, if you do a podcast. Be early. Be one of the early movers, man. Early mover advantage. Don't let that other guy in your market get to it first. And I'll tell you, here's the thing, 2 things. And I know I'm taking way more time than I should on this, but I am. Hopefully you can hear the passion in my voice or this. But look, 2 things. 1, it can be a moneymaker for you. You can sell ads on it, right? All of you guys have a roofer, if you sell real estate, a roofer, a plumber, whatever, and just go, hey, Mr. Roofer, Mr. Plumber, I'll tell you what, give me $200 an episode, and I will release you. I'll talk about how great you are to my list and to the world in general. So that's cool. And the other thing is what I think is the most important thing in podcasting. You get access to people that you would never have access to. So that big time entrepreneur in your market that you want to meet, that investor, whoever, trust me, when you say, hey, Ricky, I have a show, it's on iTunes and Stitcher Radio, blah, 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 and I'd love to feature you on it. Everybody says yes. You know why? Because you're going to be talking about their favorite topic. Them. All right, whatever. Hey, send me an email. The site's not quite up yet, and we're giving a discount for early signups. All right, normally at this point in this show, I will tell you a little bit about what we talked about. I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to let it be a mix. And basically, I just don't have time to listen to it. I barely had time to edit it. All right, that's it. Let's get to it. Hope we can meet up in the New Orleans. All right, later. Welcome to Super Agents Live. This is the one place where you can come and hear the most successful people in real estate. You'll hear how these super agents built their businesses, how they stay productive, and how they stay motivated. Who am I? My name's Toby Salvador, and I made my first million in real estate. And I'm your host for the next 30 minutes while we talk to yet another amazing real estate entrepreneur. Stay tuned.
Let's go! Yeah!
Today on the show, today's guest is a different kind of a guest. Now look, here's the deal. So today's guest is in Maryland, just outside of Baltimore. Team size of 10, 3 new hires this year, but with 7 agents, or fundamentally 7 agents. This year he'll do 220 transactions, $65 million, and he runs a nice, tidy business. He'll do about 1.7 in GCI. Now, in addition to that very busy business, he's somehow found the time to do a TV show. He has a TV show called Waterfront House Hunting. He does this nationwide. He shot season 1. It was the #1 real estate show on the air, and right now he's in talks for season 2. I'm thrilled to welcome Nick Waldner. Hey, Nick, thanks for taking the time out.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. Just one little thing about our team. Those 7 people, only 2 of them are actual agents that are selling. So we do a ton of business with very few agents. We just hired 3 new agents in the last 2-3 weeks. So we're going to be building up, and we have some pretty big goals set for next year. But ton of production on a very, very small amount of agents. So it's all about adding agents now and increasing that production to get up there in the big numbers.
Okay. Yeah. And so there's a lot of stuff to talk about with that. It's very interesting that you can do that. You certainly have to have bulletproof systems. So we'll get into that. But look, before we get into all the crazy stuff you're doing, TV show and in your business, I always first start this with a little profile about you, right? Because I want to get a feeling for who Nick is. So take a minute, tell the audience a little bit about yourself, Nick.
Okay. Born and raised in Maryland, grew up here, went to college here, graduated and started right into sales. I've always been in sales, whether it was selling candy on the bus when I was in the 6th grade, to all the way up to running a photography sales business before I got into real estate. Been into real estate for about 13 years now, maybe 12 years now. Got into it because I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad from Robert Kiyosaki, and my original plan was just to buy rental properties and create passive income. I'm still on that plan. I'm still doing that. I'm still looking for investments. I've bought complexes in Houston, Texas. I'm buying another one in Georgia right now, and I have several rental properties in the area. But I realized pretty quickly that I needed money to buy all these rental properties, so I started getting into the actual sales side, and it's been phenomenal ever since. I think it's a great industry. Sky's the limit. There's no cap on what you can make and how big you can grow the business. And then, finding the right systems, the right models, hiring great people, that has been the absolute foundation of all our success.
Yeah, look, so I agree with you. Real estate's a very interesting industry in the sense that, you really there's almost no barrier to entry, number one. Number two, unlike every other business, you don't need capital to start up. You don't need to buy, property, plant, equipment stuff. So it's an amazing industry in that regard. Now, if I think of your background, Nick, right? So, you said, I've always been in sales, whether it's selling candy or whatever. Two things for me. One is that gives me an idea that you've always been entrepreneurial. Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. How did you, and being an entrepreneur, you have to have a certain amount of risk tolerance. So growing up, were your parents entrepreneurs, or how did you get this component to you?
That's a great question. I think, my parents were almost identical to Rich Dad, Poor Dad. My dad was get a job with a big company, grow a pension, and that's what you retire on. And he retired after 39 years in the fire department for Baltimore City. So he was all about the company line. My mom, on the other hand, never graduated college, had two small children at a very young age. I think she was 21 when she had my brother, 23 when she had me. And after spending a couple of years raising us as we went to school, decided to try her hand in real estate. She had a great mentor, and she built a pretty incredible business. So growing up, I watched my dad go to work, every day, work hard and have basically a stagnant salary. And then I watched my mom go to work and every day very hard and watched her salary continually increase. So it was a really apparent to me that the harder you work, the more money you should get paid. So when I was in college, my first job, my first real job, without working at a grocery store bagging groceries, my first real job, I was a freshman a freshman in college, and I went to a resort town called Ocean City, Maryland, and sold photography. We took pictures on the beach of families, kids, couples, and sold them for $5 a piece. The job was strictly commission. There was no base salary. You work 7 days a week, 8 hours a day, usually 10 hours a day, and whatever you sold, you make, and whatever you didn't, you didn't. And it was eye-opening for me to see that all my effort and everything I put in, I got paid a direct result for that effort. I ended up being Rookie of the Year, and then went on to actually run the business up to a little over $1 million in sales by my fifth or sixth year.
Okay, so all right, so hustle, right? So this is something that's interesting, right? So in that selling photo, you got to chase these people down. I mean, you do this on golf courses, right? You're at the 8th hole and someone's sitting there. They take a picture of you. They make it real, whatever. Taking a negative and making a picture. And so you learned, and again, Nick, this is interesting to me because I can teach someone how to build a company. I can teach someone how to sell, but you can't teach hustle. So again, how do you unpack that? How do you unpack you having this hustle? Did you just have big dreams? Did you know your why? And that may be too much to throw onto you right now, but dig into that a little bit.
That's very interesting because I grew up. I had a great set of parents that provided for me. They put me through school. I certainly didn't grow up with a silver spoon or anything, but I never wanted for anything. I was never struggling. I was never, in a position where it was do or die. It was always just simply I knew, what my best was, and I was constantly pushing that. When it came to sports, when it came to business, it was always about just better, 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 better. And I think it's just a natural drive that's in people. I think it can be taught, and I think it's all, things that we can help people unlock. If you ever read the book Relentless, it's written by Michael Jordan's trainer, and it's all about people like that. Michael was cut from his high school team, and then went on to be arguably one of the best NBA players ever. So I think it's about determination and drive, and helping somebody realize that success is so sequential. It's not sexy. It's not incredible. It's not amazing. It is doing the little boring things every single day, staying consistent, staying on top of things, and just working that program. And if you're on the right program, on the right system, you will get there over time, because time, it's all about time on task. So it's showing somebody that and teaching them that. And when they see something, somebody incredible that they think that guy's amazing, it's showing them that that guy's really not amazing, but his habits are. The way that he's able to do stuff day after day after day after day, and that's what's created it.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I 100% agree, man. Just put in the work, and really kind of what you're saying, if I could sum it up in a sentence, is hard work trumps talent. Every day of the week, hard work trumps talent. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go back to so you have this drive. You're a competitive guy, and speak to competitiveness for 1 second, because I had a brother. I don't know how you and your brother are close. Your mom had him at 21, you at 23. So for you, I mean, I'm sure that you guys had this competitive thing growing up.
We were 16 months apart. I was always, to make it easier on my parents, I was always playing in the next level up. So if it was under 10 soccer and all the kids were 9 years old, I was 7. As we grew up, I always played on the older teams. I always played, and that was harder because as a kid, I'm always smaller. I'm always, I needed to out-hustle everybody just to compete. And I think that drove me, that then when I got into, high school and I started playing against kids my own age, my own size, I was very, very competitive. And I think I had that extra edge that I had always been pushing myself because I was always the smallest. Always, the one that needed to hustle more than anybody. And I just never really lost that.
Got it. Interesting. Now, how old are you, Nick?
I'm 36.
Okay. Do you have kids?
I don't. I'm engaged and getting married next September.
Okay. Oh, that's great. Congratulations. Well, look, and the only reason I asked that is I wanted to get a sense of how you raise your kids. But all right. So let's if you're, because my background's a lot like yours, and I find myself, I'm a little bit maybe sometimes too hard on my kids because I'm like, hey, do you know what I was doing at your age? Anyhow. Okay. So let's go back to you.
Go ahead. Let's talk about that for 2 seconds because I think it's a really good point. And, one of the things that I'm also a learner. I want to pick up, I want to read, I want to interview, I want to talk to, I want to go through, like everybody that has kids, I'm asking them these questions. And I know how I am. I know I'm hard on myself. It's never good enough. I can always do better. But I'm used to it in my personality, so it doesn't bother me. But when I'm acting like that towards somebody else, like a member of my team or something like that, what did you do this week? Well, I sold 3 houses. Great. Next week, sell 4. Next week, they sell 4. What are you going to do next week? Sell 5. And I'm constantly pushing them. And in the beginning, that was a big negative. I had to really realize that sometimes you can ride somebody and push somebody too hard. So thank God that I'm experimenting on the guys on my team rather than my kids. But I'm learning that it's not about pushing them to be the best every single week, every single time. It's about making sure they do the same thing, those sequential successes every single day. So now it's, all right, your goal is 3 this week. Let's always practice to hit 3. Some days you're going to hit 4 or 5. Some days you're going to hit 2, but let's always push for 3. And at the end of the year, you're going to be a success. Got it.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great viewpoint and attitude. So let's go back. You obviously have built this very successful business. What got you there? Well, 2 selling agents and you're doing 220 deals. That's crazy town. So Nick, what's working for you right now?
Well, for us, it's about hiring talented people. I think, one of the things I struggled was hiring in general in the beginning. It was really, really tough for me to find, great people that could completely replicate me and be 100% clones of me. And that's what I began looking for. And I quickly realized that in my own mind, I'm not going to be able to find that because nobody's going to have all the same qualities as I am. But what I ended up finding was if I break down my personality, if I take the listing side and I say, okay, I'm good at listings, but I'm not great. And then I went out and found somebody and taught them and watched them excel at it. And they are an incredible listing agent, probably, without a doubt, better than I am at listings. Then I went out and found a buyer's agent, and I taught him everything I knew so that he would then become, as he concentrated on only buyers, he would become a better buyer agent than me. Then we went out and got 2 showing assistants as he started getting busy and gave him an opportunity to start learning, teaching, and growing 2 team members who are now going to become buyer's agents in about 30 days, and now they're going to be able to take off and really kind of start setting this team up for some big successes.
Well,
so I don't think it was anything more than hiring great people to do what I did when I was holding 8 jobs, finding 8 different people to take those jobs and do them better than I could do them, as I'm trying to do all 8.
Right. And I think Nick, I think it takes a level of maturity, of sophistication to be able. And this is what entrepreneurs struggle with, right? Nobody's going to care about your business as much as you do. Nobody's going to be as good at it as you do. And I think a lot of people struggle to not let go of control. And again, you can only get to so you found that early. You being I'm 45, a little bit older than you, but it took me a long time in my businesses to be able to let go and just go let that person fail. But okay. So for you, right? So you found this person. You've built this one person up into a great listing agent. So maybe take a minute. Tell how would you define that? If somebody's out there listening to this and they're maybe only doing 20 deals a year, what do you think personifies a great listing agent?
Well, I think a great listing agent is doing 5 things and only 5 things. They're lead generating, they're lead following up, they're going on appointments, they're negotiating deals, and they're attending settlements. And when you give somebody an opportunity to only do those 5 things, everything else, we have a listing concierge that takes care of all the paperwork, signing, takes care of ordering the pictures, getting lock boxes on, takes care of all the little stuff so they can focus on just those 5 things. All of a sudden, when I was doing everything myself, I'd have, maybe an hour, 2 hours a week to make phone calls or lead generate. Now I'm giving somebody an opportunity to have 3 hours every single day. And they are so much better at it for the simple fact that they're doing it so much more. Appointments, I might have gone on 2 or 3 appointments a week. Now, they're going on 2 appointments a week or 2 appointments a day. So again, with repetition, they just get so much better at it simply from time on task. I think it's 10,000 hours to be an expert at anything.
Yeah.
So it's helping them get those hours and become that expert that, even I couldn't accomplish because I don't have the 10,000 hours to put in if I'm doing 15 different jobs.
Right. Well, that's E-Myth, right? Double down on what you're good at and outsource your weaknesses. Okay. So for a great listing agent, do those 5 things. Now, to talk about lead generating for a second, because that's out of those 5 things, that's the first thing you brought up. We know that, real estate's a contact sport. You got to go out and make contacts. How for someone, or, if someone was asked you, hey, what is the best way to go about lead generating? How would you answer that?
Well, I think if you picked me up out of Maryland, which I've been my whole life, and dropped me in any random city that I didn't know anybody, the first thing I would do is start working expireds. I think that's the fastest way to start generating possible sellers. From there, it's about building your database and building. We have a plan on our team that everyone has to add 1 person every single day to the database 5 days a week. So if you take the 9 people on our team, 10 people on our team, everybody adds 1 a day, 5 days a week for the entire year. That takes our database to 1,920. So we're not talking about anything hard. It's not like getting 1 person to add them is that hard. But it's going, when you get your hair cut, make sure your barber's in there. When you go get your teeth cleaned, make sure your dentist is in there. When whatever you're doing, you're constantly in the mindset of build my database and then feed it. And then we're constantly contacting our database, calling them, following up with them, sending them emails, sending them postcards, sending them a newsletter. We're constantly in front of them so that whenever they do have a real estate need, because most don't every year, but every 5 years, every 7 years, they've seen us for years and years and years, and when it's time, hopefully they choose us. And typically it's about a 12-to-1 ratio for every person in your database that is somebody that you physically know, somebody that could pick you out of a crowd.
Okay, that's interesting. I was going to ask you about list building, but so for you, you meet a caterer or, you get your hair cut, and so you would recommend putting anybody, whether they're in the market or not, in the database, and then you just start dripping on them.
Absolutely. I think you build that now. And then once a quarter, we call everybody. So in every 3 months, everybody in our database gets at least one phone call. Now, there are great clients that refer stuff all the time, or great clients that, we're constantly working with. We might speak to them a lot more frequently. But everybody in the list gets a call once a quarter. And that call can be very simple. It's just reaching out. Let's say it's December, as we plan for 2016, just wanted to check to see if you have any real estate needs. Before we schedule any vacations or any time off for our team, we want to make sure our clients are number one and we're helping them. So if you have anything that you think is going to come up in the next year where you might need to buy or sell, let us know so we can put it on the calendar and make sure you're first before we take vacations, before we go anywhere. And sometimes they're like, oh, no, I got nothing. Or sometimes like, well, not this year, but next year, Jenny's graduating from high school, and then we're going to downsize. And it's those quick conversations. We're taking notes, we're putting it in there, and then we're following up on that. Come next May, all right, only a year left for Jenny. Congratulations. Where are you guys thinking about going? The next phone call might be, all right, 9 months to go. I know we talked about Florida. Have we talked about? We just keep that conversation going so that we're top of mind when it comes time to sell their house or buy a house or invest, something like that.
Okay, that's good. I think that's a great little script for people. Hey, do we want to put you first? Before we schedule any vacations for ourselves, we want to make sure that you're on the list and you're helped out. So earlier when we were just first getting into this, you were talking about your mom. You said that two things. One, your mom every year made more money, and that impacted you.
Yeah.
But secondarily, Nick, you said that your mom had a great mentor. You've come out of the gate here relatively rapid. Did you have a mentor to help you along, this process?
Believe it or not, it was having my mom and having somebody that I could call her at 6 a.m. with a real estate question, and I could follow up with a call at 10 p.m. with a real estate question. Every time something came up, anytime I had a problem, anytime I had a question, she was always there to answer my questions, to be there to support me. And it was a mother-son support. It wasn't like a business colleague. This was somebody that cared deeply in my success and only wanted the best